Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
After a very promising start to this season, could it be already done for KC's wide receiver, Rashee Rice, attempting to make a tackle after Patrick Mahomes threw an interception?
We're used to teams saying, we don't know, MRI. Here, Andy Reid's being a little more honest. He's leaving hope alive.
It's Game Time Decisions. It's playoffs. Look at this. Look at how nice I'm being to Major League Baseball. Excitement. WNBA playoffs. Excitement. It will not last for long. I am telling you that right now. The Astros immediately sink to 1.5 quadruple. We're fine. I'm happy to have you. It's Game Time Decisions right here on SportsGrid. I'm Kevin Walsh. We've got 2 hours to not just preview all of the action tonight, which is one more Major League Baseball game in the postseason that has not started yet, 2 WNBA playoff games, and anything else, but follow along with Mets, Brewers, Orioles, Royals, and anything else that comes across our plate tonight. Plus, not only some NFL headlines, the debut of KW's Take 5. We're talking NFL MVP. Bets have been placed, people. Here we go again. Let's get to the Major League Baseball, though, because we have one game that is already in the door here as the postseason has officially began. Of course, yesterday, that incredible doubleheader between the Mets and the Braves that sent both of those teams to the playoffs, and this is how the bracket lines up in the National League. The Mets are in Milwaukee. Atlanta goes to San Diego tonight. The Phils and the Dodgers will be waiting. Flip it here. You don't see me do that turn a lot. Guardians and Yanks are waiting. Tigers are already up in a game in this series. The Orioles and the Royals are live right now. Tariq Skubal, who goes out there, another incredible game. Scoreless baseball for him. It was the bullpen who gave up one late. But I got to tell you, as Detroit wins that game 3-1, it feels like, and again, I know it was the Skubal game, I think the Astros might have missed their chance here as Detroit. I want to get eyes on what they are just to win this series. Maybe I'll bet their money line tomorrow. I'm not sure what to do yet. But I feel like what we know of the Astros, they should be sat here right now, and this should read 4-3 final Houston. I think that's what we've grown accustomed to. A couple of base runners on early in that bottom of the 9th inning. Second and third, 1 out, bases loaded, 2 outs. And we didn't see the Astros get the job done. They lose 3-1 to Detroit. Yes, the next 2 are in their building, but to me, the Astros of old win that game. And especially against a team like the Detroit Tigers, who have now jumped them when we talk about your American League outright odds. Here's where the American League outright odds were before today's games began, and there's been plenty of movement. Now, the Yanks and the Guardians, as they should, they sit up top. Dropping number on the Stros, 7-1 now in the market. Dropping number on Baltimore as well. They're now back at plus 750 as they are currently in-game being shut out by the Royals, which is pretty surprising to me. I thought, Cole Reagans is fine. I thought he didn't match his preseason expectations. I thought Baltimore had a decent chance tonight to hit him, though. They have enough power against lefties, and we did not see that play out in that, so far at least, for Baltimore. Corbin Burns is left waiting a lot more. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how this market officially settles tonight with what is tracking towards both dogs grabbing the win right now in the opening set of the American League's wild card round. The National League wild card round, again, one game going right now. That is Mets-Brewers. Brew Crew go out there and jump on the Mets. So that's going to shoot their number down a little bit. Dodgers and Phillies, though, are still the head and shoulder favorites when we talk about the National League. And I've made this point a lot, and I'm going to continue to bang the drum on this point. If we break down an NLCS this year, and it's Brewers, Padres, Mets, Braves, or some combination where both the Dodgers and the Phillies are not there, kiss this format goodbye. It's probably going to lead to an expanded format. There is no way we, again, have two teams spend the entire season as the two best teams in a league, and then by the time we get to the Champion Series, they aren't there, the both of them. Last year it happened. The only 100-win teams in the NL were the Dodgers and the Braves, and then the NLCS was the Phillies and the Diamondbacks. Again, one upset, sure. Both, it's become a theme. Does it happen again? Upsets already happening in the American League. It's the wild card round. We'll see how the upsets look here. Now, the one game that has not started yet is Atlanta and San Diego. The tough reality for the Braves is this season of injuries has not stopped. It has been consistent, going all the way back to Spencer Strider's first start, where we saw him, unfortunately, blow out his arm and get shut down for the year. Preseason NL Cy Young favorite. And in between that moment and now, there are countless other injuries, right? Especially Ronald Acuna Jr., the preseason NL MVP favorite. But the Braves still get here. And in that process, despite losing the NL Cy Young preseason favorite, they finished the year with the guy who is likely to win NL Cy Young in Chris Sale, who is not available for this series against the Padres. The idea is Chris Sale would go in the doubleheader against the New York Mets if they needed him. They didn't, but they did in Game 2. Back spasms. Out. Okay, fine. Well, they immediately told us he's not going against San Diego. Even if the Braves can pull off an upset, tonight the Padres are going to throw Michael King. Even if they can pull off an upset, we don't even have certainty that we're going to see Chris Sale once again. All of this helping this Padres number currently at minus 174 to win this series. And the selling point on San Diego, a team that, again, trades Juan Soto in the offseason, but it is still loaded with talent, that roster. We know it is. From Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis in the lineup to Dylan Cease and Musgrove going for that rotation. And the fact that the Padres tonight don't have to go to either one of those guys, but get to go to Michael King, who they acquired in that Juan Soto trade, is such a boost. It is such a boom for San Diego. They are favored to take this game tonight. And if they do, it is their number that will continuously be cut short. For many people, the idea is the Padres, and probably because over the last 2-3 months of baseball they have the best record, is they are the most dangerous team when you look at the Dodgers and the Phillies in that National League race. So time will tell here. One other note with a lot of the markets that are available heading into the wild card round, we saw plenty of action out there for most home runs, most RBIs, most hits, Ohtani Judge markets, if you will. We didn't at least I didn't see pitcher markets. I didn't see guys to lead the postseason in strikeouts or postseason in wins. And I wonder if somewhat we're watching the books be a little extra cautious due to the up and down nature of pitchers, or if perhaps the books are just being cautious due to the wild upsets we see in Major League Baseball, yet still willing to throw out the hitting markets because they expect action with Ohtani and Judge up at the top. And it's probably right to bring up that if the favorites hold, this year the World Series would then be one of the most anticipated matchups you could possibly imagine. Yankees-Dodgers is all you need to know from a selling point, quite frankly. And again, that is where the market has the expectations from the favorites within their respective leagues. But when you can then, on top of that, add Ohtani versus Judge, listen, for Major League Baseball, they're fine. They're kind of in their groove. The people who love it absolutely love it. But let's not forget that Major League Baseball is still happening right now at a time where the NFL and college football dominate and the NBA's right around the corner. And heck, we're watching WNBA postseason action a lot more, certainly more than ever before. We're going to talk to Coach in just a minute. Man, if this league can get Ohtani Judge, Yankees Dodgers, you're talking box office in a completely different realm. Box office, Liberty Aces. We'll talk to Coach about it next.
It's a new era in CFP to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoff.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all season long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take!
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Simply put, the only way to bet this is over/under win total. I love Tyronn Lue. I think he's one of the 5 best coaches in the league. But my dear friend George Sorlis told us to me a long time ago, you can't win if you don't got the talent. Unfortunately, I don't think the Clippers have the talent to match up.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Brian Daboll has been feeling it. He's in a foul mood. He's having stare downs with Pat Leonard and everything else.
John Mara wants Brian Daboll to go and get the next quarterback. They tried to get the next quarterback. We all watched it on Hard Knocks. They couldn't end up with Daniels. They couldn't end up with May. So they said, okay, we'll run it back a year. We'll go get Neighbors, and we'll tolerate.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions. We're back with you right here on a Tuesday. Going to clean up some technical issues and get Coach James Young here in just a moment to talk some WNBA playoffs. Really, really big games tonight. The Liberty hold home court in Game 1. Stewie, incredible performance. A 34-point game against the Las Vegas Aces. They take that one. They, of course, remain championship favorites. That number is even stronger now at minus 130. But we also see the Connecticut Sun upset the Minnesota Lynx. And despite being a dog in game number 2, 4.5-point number, in favor of Minnesota. The Sun are now the favorites to win that series. If you look, the Sun have not only jumped the Lynx to win the title, they've jumped the Las Vegas Aces as well. It's going to be really interesting if we can see some comebacks happen. The nature, again, of round number 1, it's 3-game series, it's best of 2, and we saw the 4 teams that we have here all were home and hosting and win 2-0. So we've not seen any comebacks so far. The Connecticut Sun's victory against Minnesota is the only road victory so far in these playoffs. Is there any juice, though, in potentially diving back into this championship market on a Vegas Aces or even a Minnesota Lynx? I think there is some value. I'm not sure I'm going to actually get there. The issue that I'm having is when our bracket was set, I started to think that the New York Liberty were going to have a very good opportunity to win this title. They were, again, if I'm filling out a bracket, they were my pick, right? They matched up with Vegas. They take game number 1. There isn't much of any reason to jump off that position. But Vegas hasn't gone back to Vegas just yet, right? And again, they handled their business there. And I think if you get into a game 5, that favors Vegas. The Aces, a little bit more battle-tested, playing with a little bit more house money, in my opinion. I think Vegas could come back. And if Vegas, even if they would be the road team against the Lynx or the Sun, which they would be, they'll be favored to win the championship if they get through that. On the other side, if you're Minnesota and they pull off the comeback against the Sun, if, let's say, Vegas does the same, you have home court advantage. So there's some temptation there. And the Lynx have matched up very well this season with the New York Liberty. They have. Of all the potential matchups, the Liberty beating the Sun is probably the most confident result I would have to you. But that's what makes me interested in Vegas at plus 500 or the Minnesota Lynx at a plus 550 number. Those are really, really tempting and interesting options that we have out in the market right now. We get to tonight's game, the Liberty a 4-point favorite. Listed total right now for this one is 164.5. Brianna Stewart's prop for this game is 21.5 as, again, she was the star, but it's Aja Wilson's 23.5 that does catch my attention. A portion of it is a little bit narrative-y, which is sometimes narratives you always want to be cautious about, but also it is relevant to the very best players in the world. Take this from somebody who is the biggest LeBron fan, well, one of the biggest you'll find, but somebody who then understands what that means from LeBron game to game to game, right? About when you can expect him to answer the bell, right? If you're Aja, who needs to answer the bell after that performance, right? You ask yourself, and again, she's had a solid postseason. Her last 2 games, she's shooting above 50%, but she's not shooting as frequently, right? And she's not getting to the line as frequently, which is one of the big things as well when you compare her in-season statistics to her current postseason statistics. And it's also when you can buy low on the best. And that's what you have a chance to do here tonight with Aja Wilson and her number. When you look at that number checking in now at 23.5 for Aja, think about the regular season record that she set with the 26.9 average. You have this chance to buy low, and that's what gets very interesting to me. And I've played Aja Wilson unders this year when she's matched up with the Liberty, but in the 2 regular season games, she scored 21 and 24. So now tonight getting 23.5, I think you can look to that bounce back for Wilson, who might look to shoot the most shots she has so far in this postseason. I think it's absolutely worth a look on that 23.5. If you look in the games last year against the Liberty in the finals, she rotated, if you would, going over a would-be number of 23.5. 19 game 1, 26 game 2, 16 game 3, and then 24 in that closeout. As far as the game between Minnesota and Connecticut here, the Lynx are a 4.5-point favorite. The total for this one is 152.5, which is interesting that there's not a lot of change on that number game over game. I look at the game number 1 box score, though, and what stands out to me is the degree that which the Connecticut Sun were able to win the 3-point battle. And the Lynx have been a great 3-point shooting team this year. They were able to win the 3-point battle but they weren't able to really extend on Minnesota. And in fact, they needed to pull off a comeback in that fourth quarter to win that basketball game. I tend to think that this Minnesota Lynx team now can have a bounce-back offensive game. The tricky nature is, again, it does look like the books are expecting that, or at minimum the books are taking action in that direction. This total is shooting up game over game, up from 151.5, now checking in at 153.5. A Lynx team total is something that I would consider, but perhaps the best way to attack would just be laying those 4.5 points here, where I think with the opening round, there were bigger gaps within every single matchup, right? What we have here in this Final Four are the four teams that were the four best teams in the WNBA all season long, right? And I think that means you have more parity. And again, the Suns showed that with their upset in game number 1. But I don't think it means that the Minnesota Lynx are all of a sudden going to be ran out of the gym here by Connecticut. And again, Connecticut is not really capable of running a team out of the gym. That's just not who they are. Before we hit this commercial break, just some live updates on the baseball board here. The Mets took the lead back on the Milwaukee Brewers. Jesse Winker with a 2-run triple, and then was scored on a sac fly by Starling Marte. They now lead 3-2 in that baseball game in the top of the third. And for the Orioles, their final chance at scoring against Kansas City is around the corner as they still trail 1-0. We'll give you the updates. We're back here on SportsGrid.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. Brady, I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all season long.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Simply put, the only way to bet this is over-under win total. I love Tyronn Lue. I think he's one of the 5 best coaches in the league. But my dear friend George Sorless told us to me a long time ago, you can't win if you don't got the talent. Unfortunately, I don't think the Clippers have the talent to match up.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Brian Dable has been feeling it. He's in a foul mood. He's having stare downs with Pat Leonard and everything else.
John Mara wants Brian Dable to go and get the next quarterback. They tried to get the next quarterback. We all watched it on Hard Knocks. They couldn't end up with Daniels. They couldn't end up with May. So they said, okay, we'll run it back a year. We'll go get Neighbors, and we'll tolerate.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome in. We're live with you right here. It's Game Time Decisions. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get Coach in the mix there, but we do have NFL insider Adam Kaplan. And, Cap, we had some big news that broke earlier today around Las Vegas. Davante Adams has requested a trade. There was some social media stuff that maybe played a factor into this. What are you hearing around the situation?
Yes, so, Kevin, it's funny. So I just started working here. You and I will be together on Sunday for Pro Football Today. I got a tip earlier on Tuesday that something might be brewing here, and keep an eye on the Raiders and Davante Adams, where they could be traded by the trade deadline, which, by the way, is Tuesday, November 5th. So you're talking about 5 weeks from today. And then you just mentioned the story breaks and the craziness of Antonio Pierce, a active head coach, Adams, head coach for the Raiders, favoring a tweet on X about the potential of Adams being traded. Like, I was like, did this really happen? So listen, Kevin, you had asked me, as you often do, when there's stuff behind the scenes, you ask me what I know and what I'm hearing. You would ask me, I do remember this, and I was told there's no way. The Raiders told me they're not actually asking this because Josh McDaniels and what happened last year, and McDaniels got fired. What were they going to do with Adams? And you would ask me in the spring, what are they going to do? And I was told flat out they're not trading him because they're trying to get off to a good start. They don't have anyone, by the way, who could replace Adams. But the situation to move this forward here has gotten to be not good, is the best way to say it, that they're ready to move him. I'd be surprised if he's a Raider by November 5th, by 4 p.m. Eastern, by the way. I'd be very surprised. I'm not ruling anything out. But when you have two sides that seem to be done with each other, although I would tell you, Adams, someone who knows him, told me, despite all the speculation with him and Josh McDaniels, he didn't want to be traded last year. Remember, he's from the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
This is such a bizarre situation. We just mentioned Antonio Pierce. There are 2-2, by the way. The Chiefs have problems at wide receiver, ironically. No, I'm not suggesting he's going to be traded in division to their arch rival. That would make Al Davis turn over in his grave. But it's just, it's really odd. This early, week 4, really? Yep, it happened, and it is happening.
You know, Cap, it's funny. We didn't get the chance to talk on Sunday, but I was going to ask you about Davante Adams because there was a report that was put out that was really odd. That was essentially, hey, the Raiders are not trading Davante Adams. And, you know, sometimes it's like nobody asked. Why are you're defending something that people weren't asking? And for me, it set the antennas off. You know I like the drama and the controversy anyway, Cap. Yeah. So it seemed like there was already some smoke leaving the house. Obviously, the whole thing is on fire right now.
Here's what happened. After the Carolina game, the bad loss at home where Andy Dalton went off against them in Vegas a couple weeks ago. Remember, Pierce did say a couple guys made some business decisions.
Yeah.
It had been speculated that it might be Adams. That's probably, I didn't see the report, but I understand. You know, when I put stuff out on players and situations, it's when I know there's something going on that's not good and keep an eye on for like when Washington was trying to trade Jahan Dotson, I was told flat out he would not be a Commander this season. One way that they're going to move him. Don't know if they would have cut him, but they didn't care that they traded with the Eagles. They weren't worried about it. They didn't think he could really help them. And right now, Dotson does not really help the Eagles very much, though they need him. But Adams, let's move this forward here. For him to be traded, you could expect teams that are competing to win a division, to be a playoff team, to make a run to the Super Bowl, will be interested. He is 31 years old. His salary, Kevin, is just under $17 million. He's making just under, sounds crazy, $1 million a week, and it would be prorated by the amount of weeks that are left. Now, after the season, it would have to be redone. He's making over $35 million. No team's taking that cash. He'll just have to redo it after the season. But if you're trying to win a Super Bowl or make a run to the playoffs, like the Steelers, by the way, Ben Jefferson had a great training camp, hasn't done anything. Roman Wilson, as I reported a month ago, has a high ankle sprain. He hasn't contributed. He's been inactive. He's just not contributing. So that you have to keep an eye on them. The Buffalo Bills, they had a bad loss. I know they've kind of overachieved at the receiver spot. They need a veteran badly. But again, I don't see him going, for the record, to the Chiefs. I know people are going to start speculating. I'd be shocked if that happened.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, though, Cap, and I think what we could all agree on is Davante Adams is a guy, wherever he lands, whether it should or shouldn't, it's going to move the market. If he ends up with Buffalo, with the Jets, wherever it is, this guy's still going to be a market mover. We know that, and that's why this is such a big piece of news. Hassan Reddick, for example, and I know you know the talent really well, but if he does ends up going somewhere, there's no guarantee it moves the market because it's not as flashy of a name. This is going to be a really important one for us to keep eyes on, Cap.
Yeah, and very quickly, yes, and Adams with the Jets, because they tried to trade for him. They didn't get it done before. So, yeah, obviously in the Rodgers connection, though, you're absolutely right. And, of course, the former offensive coordinator is now with the Jets.
Yeah.
You got to look at that.
All stuff we're going to be keeping our eyes on. NFL insider Adam Kaplan here on Game Time Decisions. Orioles trying to strike. We'll update you next.
Good stuff. Got it all.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. Brady, I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take!
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Simply put, the only way to bet this is over under win total. I love Tyronn Lue. I think he's one of the 5 best coaches in the league. But my dear friend George Sorless told us to me a long time ago, you can't win if you don't got the talent. Unfortunately, I don't think the Clippers have the talent to match up.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Brian Dable has been feeling it. He's in a foul mood. He's having stare downs with Pat Leonard and everything else.
John Mara wants Brian Dable to go and get the next quarterback. They tried to get the next quarterback. We all watched it on Hard Knocks. They couldn't end up with Daniels. They couldn't end up with May. So they said, okay, we'll run it back a year. We'll go get Neighbors, and we'll tolerate.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, we're back to right here. Game time decisions. Trying to watch the close here in Baltimore. The Orioles, my preseason World Series pick, are down to their final strike of game number 1 against the Royals. I'm not going to do the overreaction thing, but also the 2 favorites today have so far combined for a run. I don't know. That's not really great. Not really, this next person we're going to talk to, the king of Sell Me Something, I think right now it might be applicable in terms of getting me to watch the rest of the Major League Baseball postseason. Mike Blewett is in the house. How we feeling, Mike?
Good. Hear me out, Kev, on the rest of the Major League Baseball playoffs. Even the teams that finished at the top of these divisions had many, many flaws. I expect this one to be wide open, and it's just one game. What are you worried about?
Well, they can only lose one more, and then they'll be done.
Nature of the sport.
Right. Certainly so. Also, listen. I had a 1.5 little team total parlay, Mike. We didn't make it to game 2, and it looks like it wouldn't have mattered even if we did make it to game 2. But again, that's how it goes. But we're joined here with Mike Blewett again. You can catch him leading our in-game live coverage in the 1 o'clock window on Sundays. And Mike, there was a lot happening. We know in that window, and there's a lot of different things I want to ask you about. But the first was what I thought the maybe best performance in a loss award that would belong to Justin Fields. I think I would potentially argue that what Fields did in a loss was more important than anything he's done in the first 3 wins of Pittsburgh's season. And today we found out that Russ is healthy, but Fields is keeping the job. What do you make of that decision made by Mike Tomlin and the Steelers?
You and I have gone over this in a variety of different ways, going back to April or whenever it was, then Russ was announced the starter, seemingly for no reason. He hadn't proven anything to this organization. So it's a bummer that Russ got hurt, especially in the way that he did for him personally, but the Steelers don't really owe him anything. And I think they do owe it to Justin Fields to let him ride this out. They are 3-1. He certainly played better in the second half of the last 2 games than those first 2 games. It's not like they're putting up tons of points, but again, they were down 17-0, came back, had a chance to potentially win. Unfortunately, a turnover by Fields, a fumble, created sort of a hurt their momentum in the comeback. But a pretty good game in Indianapolis. I thought both teams scored more points than we anticipated. And I like the fact that they're going with Fields. They still, though, you would agree, need to round out this offense a little bit more. I like Freiermuth getting involved more. Pickens is clearly the guy they want to be the big play guy. And Austin is developing into somebody that maybe can have a few explosive plays here or there. Do they have a really strong possession guy at the moment? I would say no, and they need to develop that somehow.
Well, I know that there's a wide receiver hitting the market, Mike, and I believe Cordell Patterson. Listen, I'll be honest. If I'm Pittsburgh, I don't know if that's the guy leading my recruiting charge, but hey, beggars can't be choosers. Steelers interested in Davante Adams. It doesn't have to be Pittsburgh specific, but what do you make of the Davante situation? And is there a team that you think is a perfect or ideal landing spot for him?
Well, certainly anybody would be happy to have him, right? The Chiefs have lost two huge weapons in Rice and Hollywood Brown. The Steelers were previously searching for someone like Brandon Ayuk. I'd say the Patriots are probably out of this market, even though they were in the Ayuk market. Adams is going to be looking for a team that he can make an impact with on a road to winning a championship. I'd go back to Thursday when he pulled his hamstring and he ended up not being able to compete in the game on Sunday. But what was fascinating to it, and you and I have watched this league long enough to know that he pulls his hamstring in practice on Thursday on the West Coast, and by Saturday morning we have Davante Adams trade rumors. So not even 48 hours. And I was speaking with Joe Rainieri on the show live the other day, and that generally is the work of an agent or a team putting a story out there to get feelers for that particular player. If you had me lean one way or the other, I think it might have been an agent move, but it's clear that at this point, the marriage has perhaps soured to some extent. I don't know how toxic it is, but it doesn't feel like they're going to be partners for too much longer. But the Raiders should get something significant for him.
Yeah, I mean, I think the early reports, second-round pick, and, a couple of other add-ons there. Yeah. I think a team like the Buffalo Bills should make that phone call. I think I think the New England Patriots might make that phone call. I know they're bad. It's not about contending this year, but it's the same reason they were interested in Ayuk. It's just an attempt to put more talent in that building. Davante Adams, whoever acquires him, this season will likely be on that football team the following season. So I think there's a slew of teams that are calling the Vegas Raiders, trying to see if they can acquire Davante Adams here. Mike, we mentioned with Justin Fields and what he's been able to do in Pittsburgh, and maybe there's this idea, quarterback eventually, if they land in the right spot, great things can happen. And for a while, you've been trying to tell me that was the case with Sam Darnold, which I would always beg you to please stop saying that because it's ridiculous. Well, now Sam Darnold has top 5 league MVP odds, and the Minnesota Vikings are 4-0. What level of buy-in do you have on this Minnesota team right now?
It should be noted that the redheaded quarterbacks, my brethren, are thriving right now, Kev. Sam Darnold, Andy Dalton, Will Levis. We took a little bit of a hit last night, but we are thriving as a community in the NFL and obviously on this network. So my thoughts on the Vikings are that I was really impressed, obviously. Darnold's been so efficient, incredibly efficient, right at the top of the league in QB rating and right there for QBR. They are utilizing the turnovers. I think Flores and the defense have been talked about some, but it is clearly creating opportunities in short fields for Darnold so that he can be as efficient as he is. I know the score got tight the other day, and perhaps they didn't play their cleanest second half, but they were utilizing clock in order to bleed that game until the very end. And perhaps without a key turnover by Love, there would have been an opportunity for the Packers to come all the way back. But kudos to the Vikings. I think Darnold's playing really well. What we're seeing, what's great about this offense and Darnold in it, is the number of weapons that he has. We all know about Justin Jefferson, but Jordan Addison, for the second year in a row, is proving that he is a huge touchdown scorer and an impact player. He ran one in. He's scoring receiving touchdowns. Jalen Naylor had the muff punt the other day, but he's proven to be an asset while Addison was out earlier in the year. So they don't even have Hawkinson at the moment. So when you start to add up what all of these weapons together can mean, we look at rosters all off season. And I bet you to some extent the Vikings roster was dismissed. And when we see it in action, it never should have been.
This team's currently, Mike, the favorite to be the number one seed in the NFC. Not by a lot, plus 290 compared to Detroit's plus 440. But I think it speaks volumes that the market is feeling like it has no choice to buy in a major way and adjust the outlook on them. And it's happened in the Coach of the Year market as well. Mike, Kevin O'Connell down to plus 195. I think he's the rightful favorite. I will say that still feels a little too strong for me, though, 4 weeks into the season.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that we're always going to get outsized reactions in these first couple of weeks of the season. But when you look ahead, they have a Jets team that's in disarray right now. They get to play them in London, and then they have a bye week. And then they play the Lions at home coming out of the bye week. So even though there's some tough opponents, we thought on the schedule, they've gotten through all of them so far. They have an advantage with momentum going into this Jets game, and they have an advantage with a bye week before they play their divisional rival. So if the Vikings are 6-0, it probably won't surprise anybody. And maybe these odds start to look even sharper as we get a couple of weeks out.
It would surprise me, but to your point, the way things are lining up, they're favored against the Jets, and if they're favored against the Lions, it shows a lot, again, the respect that they've gained. Appreciate Mike Blewett stopping by with us here on Game Time Decisions. We'll turn it over to Joe Madden next on SportsGrid.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in the set than I do for this year. Brady, I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all season long.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take!
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Simply put, the only way to bet this is over under win total. I love Tyronn Lue. I think he's one of the 5 best coaches in the league. But my dear friend George Sorless told us to me a long time ago, you can't win if you don't got the talent. Unfortunately, I don't think the Clippers have the talent to match up.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Brian Dable has been feeling it. He's in a foul mood. He's having stare downs with Pat Leonard and everything else.
John Mara wants Brian Dable to go and get the next quarterback. They tried to get the next quarterback. We all watched it on Hard Knocks. They couldn't end up with Daniels. They couldn't end up with May. So they said, okay, we'll run it back a year. We'll go get Neighbors, and we'll tolerate.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, we're back at the right here. It is Game Time Decisions. Kevin Walsh with you. We have gone final in Baltimore. The Royals 1-0. So, again, Astros and Orioles today combined for one run, which is pretty incredible to see there. I know baseball's the postseasons can get low scoring. The Mets and the Brewers, I mean, it basically looks like an old-school Big 12 game comparatively with that 3-2 score right now in the bottom of the fourth. We do have one more baseball game remaining to help us break that down. It is none other than Joe Madden, the Padres and the Braves tonight, Joe. Excited to get involved with it.
Yeah, I'm super excited for this matchup between the Padres and the Braves. And you look here at the Atlanta Braves, and I think they've almost thrown in the towel before going out here tonight. We know they had to play that doubleheader yesterday, and it took a lot out of this team. They are starting Smith Solver here in this matchup, and I think there is no even thinking twice about taking the San Diego Padres. I think the San Diego Padres, Kevin, have the ability to go all the way this season in the playoffs, and I'm looking for them to start here with a big dominant win. I'm laying the 1.5 on the run line with them tonight. That's coming in at plus 135. But I'm not afraid to alt this number. I think you can lay 2.5 runs with them. That's coming in at plus 190. I think they get a huge dominant win. We have King coming out here and getting the start for the Padres, and I love what we've seen out of him. He's got that ability to get those strikeouts on the board as well. You can take him over the 5.5 strikeouts. You're going to have to lay a little bit of juice over the 5.5 strikeouts. It's coming in at minus 126. But you look at his ability to get those strikeouts, especially as of late. And I think this Atlanta Braves team is going to be absolutely exhausted after yesterday. So I'm high here on the Padres, Kevin. I think this is a phenomenal team. They have the bats. I'm going to look at Tatis for the anytime home run. That's coming in at plus 390.
Joe, I'm curious with the fact that the Braves are throwing a pitcher in this one in Smith Shawver, who we've only seen once go for Atlanta. And I know you're on the Padres in this game, but do you worry at all about their offense in this matchup, knowing that there are no real reps for them to go off of against the youngster for the Braves?
You have to worry about what the offense is going to come out and do, because this offense has to be able to win them that game. But you look at King here and how strong he has been for the Padres, Kevin, and I do count on him to be able to limit the bats. And the Padres have a strong lineup as well. So I expect for them to be able to go run for run if we do see the Atlanta Braves start to get those runs on the board. Looking at King, he's a 13-9 on the season with a 2.95 ERA. Home ERA, those home splits, 4-5 at home with a 3.32. We need the best out of King in this one. I think this is going to be a series where, the Atlanta Braves get swept. I think the San Diego Padres sweep them here, and I think there's no other way I can take it. So I just think this is going to be a struggle for them. They work so hard to get into the postseason, but for me, I just can't back them, Kevin.
All right, now, Joe, I'm just curious. We have one game currently going right now. We have two that have already finished up here. Are there any big picture items that you're looking at with Major League Baseball? Any futures or things like that you're looking to be rooting on?
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually shocked that the Tigers were able to beat the Astros today. Screwball coming out and getting the start. I do think the Astros, at the end of the day, with their experience, come out and win that series, Kevin. And I hate to say it because I'm a huge buyer in the underdog, and I love what the Detroit Tigers have been able to do down the stretch. But I think this is going to be the toughest battle for them. I think the Astros take game 2, and game 3 is a tight battle out there. I hope the Tigers get it, but I did bet the Astros in 3. Between the Orioles and the Royals, again, another shocker here with the Royals getting that 1-0 win today. I do think the Orioles are a team that are phenomenally strong. I took them to take it in 3 as well. It's juicy at minus 162. I believe that number's coming in at. So you got to lay some juice. I put it kind of in a parlay piece. But I look at the Royals here. They have great pitching with Seth Lugo and Cole Reagans. But other than that, it's, Walker and Singer. I think you look at the Orioles, Corbin Burns and Zach Eflin. They've got such a powerful 1-2 punch out there. I do think the Orioles are the team to take this series. But again, with the Kansas City Royals getting that first game, the Orioles will have to answer back. They've got the offense, so you know how strong Gunnar Henderson has been. I ultimately think it is the Orioles versus the Astros, because I think the Baltimore Orioles get past the Yankees. I look at the Yankees, Kevin, and this has been the struggle all season. You look at them, they have Aaron Judge and Soto out there. The guys behind them really need to step up, and we just haven't been seeing that step up with the guys behind them. And now Garrett Cole I can trust for pitching. But then you look at Carlos Rodon, and Carlos Rodon has had his struggles out there. He allows those home runs to come in, and they're going to be facing hopefully a Baltimore Orioles team that, is so powerful and can get those home runs on the board. Now, if it is the Royals that move through, you know what, Bobby Witt Jr. as well has that power to get those runs. I just think it will be the Orioles here, and they will be able to capitalize on the weaknesses there of the Yankees, Kevin.
I think, again, Joe, and I've made this point, and we'll see who advances, and for me, it's more in the NL, I think, than the AL this season, though it's somewhat applicable. We don't need to have Yankees-Dodgers or Yankees-Phillies or Guardians-Dodgers, but if we get to these championship series and 3 out of the 4 are wild card teams, I really believe that baseball has to change their format. Again, the bye does not have to mean you automatically are in your championship series. But at that point, the sample size will be too large to ignore that it's a negative for these teams. The Yankees have spent all year at the top of the American League. So have the Guardians. The Phillies in the National League, the Dodgers in the National League. That is what we've seen. And if we end up breaking down Tigers and Royals and Padres and Mets, that is just too much overwhelming evidence that a shift would need to be made. And I think ultimately for baseball, they won't be scared to make it because the shift is just adding 2 teams in each league, 16 of 30 make it, no more buys, embrace what the NBA does. You're going to get home revenue again for these teams. They'll love it anyway. The Twins and the Diamondbacks would have been in this year, and they'll be all over the moon. Now, with Major League Baseball nearing its close, some leagues are nearing its open. This Friday, the NHL begins. Joe Madden has you covered in the futures market. Get her picks next right here on Game Time Decisions.
It's a new era in CFP to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of a week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in the set than I do for this year. Brady, I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long. People.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Simply put, the only way to bet this is over under win total. I love Tyronn Lue. I think he's one of the 5 best coaches in the league. But my dear friend George Sorlis told us to me a long time ago, you can't win if you don't got the talent. Unfortunately, I don't think the Clippers have the talent to match up.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Brian Dable has been feeling it. He's in a foul mood. He's having stare downs with Pat Leonard and everything else.
John Mara wants Brian Dable to go and get the next quarterback. They tried to get the next quarterback. We all watched it on Hard Knocks. They couldn't end up with Daniels. They couldn't end up with May. So they said, okay, we'll run it back a year. We'll go get Neighbors, and we'll tolerate.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, we got a sprint here. We got Joe Madden with us, and we have a lot of NHL futures to get to. Joe, let's get into some of the team-specific ones that you're looking at. Who are some teams that you think could have good seasons and maybe get through their point totals?
There's a bunch of teams that I'm really high on, and some of the teams that are off the radar for a lot of people. Starting off with the Buffalo Sabres, you look at their goaltender here, Langkonen, and he was absolutely phenomenal last season. He had a .910 save percentage, Kevin, and a goals against average of 2.57. When we look at the problems with the Sabres last season, it was they just weren't able to get enough goals on the board to get those wins. They're only averaging 2.98 goals per game. It's just not enough in today's age. They've added players here, and I do think this is going to be a fast offense out there on the ice with the additions they've made. So I've taken the Buffalo Sabres over 87.5 points for this upcoming season. That's coming in at right around the -111. And then I've taken them to make the playoffs at +158. They're in the Atlantic Division. I think this team has every ability, and I think a lot of people will be sleeping on them. I'm also looking at the Ottawa Senators here to make the playoffs. They're coming in at +100 and over 92.5 points at -111. You look at the Ottawa Senators, and they have Ullmark now as their goaltender from the Boston Bruins. I'm confident in this team with solid goaltending with these offensive weapons like Brady Tkachuk to be able to go over that number. Now, it's a lot to ask because 92.5 points last season, they came in with 78 points, but Kevin, this team with Ullmark in goal will have so much more power out there for them. And then I'm going to look at the New Jersey Devils. I'm so high on the New Jersey Devils, Kevin, this upcoming season. I do think they're worth a look to take it all. They're now coming in a third to take the Stanley Cup at +1,100 behind the Oilers, who are the favorite at +850, and the Florida Panthers, who won last year, at +1,000. Now, I think both of those teams are going to have fantastic seasons, but I love what this Devils team has done. You've got Sheldon Keefe now, the head coach of this team, and Jacob Markstrom from my Calgary Flames will be in goal. You look at this offense, they have star power up and down the roster, young, fast, talented team, Kevin. So the New Jersey Devils over 101.5 points. That's coming in at -111. This team is definitely the team to watch.
All right, interesting stuff with a few of those overs. What about some awards or player-based wagers here, Joe, that you're looking to get involved with before the NHL season gets underway?
Yeah, there's so many great different props you can bet over on FanDuel, Kevin. I was getting so excited. I'm like a kid in the candy store when I start going over all these props, and it's really hard not to fill my basket completely full. But I've got a couple for you guys that I really like here. We know Alex Ovechkin is chasing Wayne Gretzky's point record, and I do think it's worth a shot at +1,000 for him to score 42 goals on this season. He only had 31 last season, but I think he can come out nice and strong. Looking at the Washington Capitals schedule, I think there's an opportunity for him to do so. So I'm going to take OV for 42 plus goals, and that will break the goal record there of Wayne Gretzky if he's able to hit it. Now, another one is Nathan MacKinnon. He plays with the Colorado Avalanche. When you look at Nathan MacKinnon with the Colorado Avalanche, due to injuries and just other things that have happened during the offseason with players moving, this team doesn't have a lot of depth behind him. Nathan MacKinnon is one of the most competitive hockey players out there in today's age, and I do think looking at him to record a hat trick or more in the first 10 games of the season makes absolute sense. It's coming in at +400. Now you look at some of these matchups, and they're going to be harder. He faces Vegas, the Columbus Blue Jackets, and the New York Islanders and the Bruins, but then you go into the Ducks, the Sharks, the Kraken, Utah, the Senators, which will be hard, but then the Chicago Blackhawks. I think there's an opportunity in one of those 10 games for Nathan MacKinnon to put that hat trick on the board. You know he's going to come out fast. And then the other player everyone's talking about, I want to see how he comes out this season, Connor McDavid. Connor McDavid to record 140 plus regular season points, Kevin, it's +280. He's going to have a chip on his shoulder. We know the Stanley Cup Finals did not go the way he wanted, and I think he's going to be absolute fire this season. Heaven help anyone trying to stop Connor McDavid out there. Those defensive players are going to have their hands full. He had 132 points last season, 153 the season before. He's going to be hungry to hit 140.
Yeah, and Joe, a lot of great breakdowns. One thing I wanted to look into, because I remember last year, of course, a big year for McDavid, a lot of eyes on Connor Bedard. 79.5 is his season point total. If he's as good as McDavid or in that range, McDavid had a 100-point season his sophomore year. Bedard's season-long number is 79.5. Joe, we appreciate it so much. Up next, the debut, KW's Take 5 NFL MVP edition.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. Brady, I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Simply put, the only way to bet this is over-under win total. I love Tyronn Lue. I think he's one of the 5 best coaches in the league. But my dear friend George Sorless told us to me a long time ago, you can't win if you don't got the talent. Unfortunately, I don't think the Clippers have the talent to match up.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Brian Dable has been feeling it. He's in a foul mood. He's having stare downs with Pat Leonard and everything else.
John Mara wants Brian Dable to go and get the next quarterback. They tried to get the next quarterback. We all watched it on Hard Knocks. They couldn't end up with Daniels. They couldn't end up with May. So they said, okay, we'll run it back a year. We'll go get neighbors, and we'll tolerate.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions. We're back with you here on a Tuesday. And on a Tuesday, we get a little bit more breathing room. Obviously, your Mondays and Thursday nights are loaded with wall-to-wall NFL coverage. And we're not going to leave you without NFL coverage here on a Tuesday, but we need an opportunity to zoom out, big picture. And the crew helped us put together something that we're going to be calling KW's Take 5. The topic will change week to week, but it is this week that we key in on the league's NFL MVP. Now, this is not who would be winning the MVP if the season ended today. What good does that do you? It's Darnold, okay? That's not how it goes. It's not even who I would set as the top 5 odds. It's the 5 best bets I believe you can make in the MVP market. We're going to go 5 to number 1, and number 1 is where my money went in this market. At number 5, Justin Fields of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Fields is coming off of his most important game as the quarterback for Pittsburgh. I know it was in a loss. It doesn't matter. Over 300 passing yards, 3 total touchdowns. He's up to 6 on the year. The rushing element for Fields is important. But with Fields, as it is the case with a lot of the guys we're going to talk about here, it's about the number. If you look at Justin Fields, he's 50 to 1. Yet a Sam Darnold is around 10 to 1. And I'm not telling you that Fields is as good as Darnold, but you would tell me that Fields can't win this award. We don't view Justin Fields as an MVP candidate. We don't think Darnold is one either. The biggest reason Darnold has crept into the territory that he's at right now is because the Vikings are 4-0. The Steelers only have 1 less loss. If you look at their upcoming 4 games, they might be favored in all of them. They're favored on Sunday night against Dallas. They'll be favored for a trip to Vegas. And then they will, in consecutive weeks, host 2 New York teams in the Jets and the Giants. If Justin Fields is 6-2 and keeps on getting better, that 50-1 number is a great ticket to be holding, and I think it's one of the 5 best bets you can place. At number 4, at 200-1, Tua Tagovailoa. Now, this is a very unique case, but this is why you need a bomb price to get involved with Tagovailoa. Let's take a look at what we've seen from Miami Dolphins in his absence. Nothing. They can't do anything, it feels. They've scored 1 touchdown in 2 games, and the Huntley rushing score was in garbage time. When Tua is under center for this offense, he leads the NFL in passing yards. Taylor Huntley had a full game against Tennessee and threw for 100. Tua Tagovailoa has seen his value to Miami quadruple in his. Now, the record would still need to be good. He's going to have to make the playoffs. But if Tua can get this team to the playoffs at 9-8, combine the story, he might be a part of the conversation. And at 200-1, it's the type of lotto ticket I cannot knock. I think it's the 4th bet you can make. Now, Fields and Tua are more long shots. The remaining 3 names are much further up the board, including the guy with the 3rd best odds, who I think is the 3rd best bet, and that is C.J. Stroud of the Houston Texans. Again, the number at 10-1 is surprising for me, because when you compare it to Josh Allen's plus 350, something's missing here. Josh has been better than CJ, 100%. Josh has a legitimate argument that he's been the best quarterback in football so far this season, but we're still seeing Stroud throw for big-time yardage. He has 6 touchdowns up on the board already this year, and those 2 interceptions both came against Minnesota. Just like last year, Stroud is doing an excellent job of protecting the football. But this is also about timing. C.J. Stroud, Josh Allen, and the Buffalo Bills this week, arguably the best game on the slate this Sunday. And if Stroud outduels Josh, and more importantly, puts up a win, then you're going to see this number cut in half. He probably jumps Josh Allen in the market. And you're just looking for CJ to win a home game. That's a round pick. And we're talking about the number. Record. It matters so much to this award. A win for CJ would have the Texans sat at 4-1. And the only team in the AFC they could possibly be looking up at would be the Kansas City Chiefs. It would hand Buffalo a second loss. Baltimore already has multiple losses. Same story with the New York Jets. Just when you talk about the other teams that are shifted near the top of the market within this conference. CJ Stroud at 10-1, if you want to get in and you believe they beat the Buffalo Bills, the time is now. I think he's the 3rd best bet you can make. The 2nd best bet is something that will come as a surprise if you've heard me talk about Patrick Mahomes' status in this market. I've said that Pat's number makes mostly no sense. Pat Mahomes has not been all that good. There isn't a category you can find where he is checking in as one of the 10 best quarterbacks in football. 6 passing touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He's a turnover machine. At plus 300, he's the favorite. So how could Patrick Mahomes be the 2nd best bet you make? Because Pat Mahomes, despite not playing well, is getting all of the credit. And this is voted on. Not by me, not by you, but by people that want to give Patrick Mahomes all the credit. It would make a lot more sense to me if Andy Reid's number was shorter in this market. But the Chiefs now have a win total of 13.5. If Pat Mahomes this year wins 14, 15 games, how is anybody really supposed to compete with that? And the biggest thing that's made me shift my opinion on Pat Mahomes in this market and almost made him the best bet is now all of the injuries will justify his poor numbers, underwhelming at minimum. No Rashee Rice, no Hollywood Brown, no Isaiah Pacheco, wash Travis Kelce. Now, if we finish this year and Mahomes throws for 22 touchdowns and 14 interceptions, people will say, yeah, but he just found a way. And that's ultimately all that he'll need to cash what is still a plus 300 number, which is nearly double the price of the Chiefs to have the best record in football. Something to keep your eyes on. But he's not the best bet in the market for me. The best bet, here we go again. MV Purdy. At 18-1, there is no better MVP bet than you can make than Brock Purdy, and it is the bet that I made today. First of all, if we take it and compare it to the Niners' chances to have the best record in football, it's a little bit longer. And if the Niners do that, he's going to have a great chance. He has the second most passing yards right now in the league. He has the second best quarterback rating in the entire NFL by Pro Football Focus. He ranks top 6 in passer rating and QBR. And also, his biggest roadblock in winning this award is gone in Christian McCaffrey. Because we constantly had to have this debate if the running back was more important than the quarterback, despite the fact that everybody should know better. Jordan Mason stepped in and has been one of the best backs in football. So with that gone and the fact that this team's been injured this year, Brock will be getting even more credit. And he is playing better. But it is also the timing. A perfect 3-game run to make Brock Purdy the MVP favorite if he can go 3-0. On deck, Arizona at home. Maybe the worst defense in football. He lights them up, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. This number shrinks. Then they play a primetime Thursday nighter in Seattle. If they win, they comfortably take control back of the NFC West. Boom, that number moves again. And then finally, a mini bye where they will host the Kansas City Chiefs and Pat Mahomes. And if the Niners can win that game, Brock Purdy, in 3 weeks' time, will be once again the favorite to win NFL MVP, and at 18-1 is the best bet you can make in that market. We'll talk to Brady Cannon next here on SportsGrid.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. Brady, I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take!
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Simply put, the only way to bet this is over-under win total. I love Tyronn Lue. I think he's one of the 5 best coaches in the league. But my dear friend George Sorlis told us to me a long time ago, you can't win if you don't got the talent. Unfortunately, I don't think the Clippers have the talent to match up.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Brian Dable has been feeling it. He's in a foul mood. He's having stare downs with Pat Leonard and everything else.
John Mara wants Brian Dable to go and get the next quarterback. They tried to get the next quarterback. We all watched it on Hard Knocks. They couldn't end up with Daniels. They couldn't end up with May. So they said, okay, we'll run it back a year. We'll go get neighbors, and we'll tolerate.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, we're back with you right here on Sports Grid. Runs aplenty, thank goodness. Even if it's not going to win me any money, I need to see some runs scored in this baseball postseason. The Mets have done a lot of it now. 8 runs up on Milwaukee as they lead 8-4. We're joined by Brady Cannon. We're going to talk some football, but Brady, I know. Listen, you're a man of the board. You'll get involved in some different places. Are you invested anywhere in the baseball postseason?
Yeah, I just did some funny money parlays today just for entertainment, and I played basically all of the teams that were being relatively faded by the public. I was going against the grain. If there was a large percentage of tickets and what have you on one side, I tried to go the other way. I almost got there. I had the Royals in a 2-teamer with the Houston Astros earlier today. It looked like the Astros might. I mean, that hit by Jason Hayward at the very end. Wow, that could have broken that game open, but that one wasn't to be. And in the later half of the games, I went with the Atlanta Braves and the New York Mets. So we'll see if that one comes through. Part of me is rooting for the Padres, though. I've got a future on the Padres to win the National League pennant.
All right, listen, I think a lot of people have been able to clip that good Padres number. We'll see if they can come in. But, Brady, we get to now do something that we've kind of found ourselves with a little bit of a routine doing here on these Tuesdays, and it's look-aheads. And I've been waiting 2 days now to ask you about one specific game because the same exercise you go through, I've been going through, and this is the wrongest I've been this year about where a number would be. And for me, I get excited about that. So I'm curious, Brady, when you saw Bears-Panthers, what did you think that number would be, and what do you make of Chicago in Week 5 as a 3.5-point favorite against Carolina?
Well, I tell you what, I made the number 3, and I was able – there's a lot of 4s out there. And one of the first things I did today, after I got through that whole exercise there, Kevin, and I saw the discrepancy, and there's also a situation I really love that I'll get to in just a minute. I bet the Carolina Panthers +4. There's a lot of 4s out there, and there are 3.5s like you reference as well. Certainly, I think from the screen I'm looking at maybe 3 or 4, 3.5s, and the rest, the majority is 4. I made the number 3. I think you could make a case that it should be 2.5. But the situation I was referring to is teams that are 1-3 coming off of a loss, facing a team that is coming off of a win, have a very high percentage of covering the spread in that game. I want to say it's about 66% of the time. And of course, Carolina is indeed 1-3 coming off of a loss, facing a team that is coming off of a win in the Chicago Bears. So when I saw the discrepancy in my number, albeit not a lot, although there is a pretty significant difference between a 3 and a 4, I am, with that difference combined with that situation, I ran to the window.
So it's so funny, man. The one thing that's a little different about, I think maybe how I do it is I try and use what the book did last week to figure out what they'll do this week. So it's less my number and more what I think they'll do and then figure out the reactions. And Brady, I swear, I thought this was going to be 7. I thought the Bears were going to be a touchdown favorite in this game. And I'm trying to figure out where I am not seeing what they're seeing. Because Cincinnati just laid 5.5 in Carolina. I, through 4 weeks of football, do not view the Bengals as markedly better than the Chicago Bears, if better at all. And we've gone from Carolina hosting to Chicago hosting. So I can even ask you, Brady, did you find that 5.5 number way wrong last week? Is it just a spot thing? I cannot understand how we've gone from Carolina catching 5.5 in their own building against the Bengals to 3.5 in Chicago.
Well, I tell you, last week I made the Bengals a 5-point favorite, and I think that one opened up at 3.5 or 4. I didn't bet it until it was 4 or 4.5. It did go up, and then I think by game time it was, I think it closed at 5 or 5.5. So my original number was correct there. I think the Bengals are a slightly above average team. Certainly their offense is pretty good, but they do have some issues on defense. They're injured on defense as well, especially in the front seven. They have some holes there. Chicago is not very good, Kevin. Look at week one. The Titans really annihilated them and just made a couple of mistakes and handed them the game. The Texans should have annihilated the Bears, but somehow could not put their foot down on that team. And I think that's a weakness that the Houston Texans have. And then you're looking at, I'm trying to remember their next game. Okay, last week
Colts.
was the Rams. Okay, the Colts. I thought they should have won that game. I thought they were going to win that game, and they were not good at all in that game, and neither were the Colts. And then last week they catch a Rams team that is not only incredibly beaten up, but just came off of a huge emotional win over their rival 49ers, where they just spent a ton of energy, and the Bears kind of had that fall into the palm of their hand. I don't think the Bears are that great. And I don't think Carolina's that great either. I bet against them last week. And I was on them against the Raiders. So far I have Carolina pretty well figured out the last couple of weeks. I think I have a fairly good, line on the Bears as well. And, you're a 3-point advantage at home. You're basically saying that the Bears are probably about 1.5 or 2 points better than Carolina. You throw in a point or 1.5, maybe even 2 points for Soldier Field, depending on where you fall on that home field advantage. But, I think 4, 3, somewhere between 3 and 4 makes sense to me. I landed on 3.
Yeah, I think what I realized is I'm higher on Chicago, lower on Cincinnati, lower on Carolina. Like, there's a million things that have to happen for me to be that. The funny part of it is, Brady, my initial thought was, I'd like to be able to bet Carolina here because I agree. I thought it was a decent Panthers spot. So, again, it was a stunning thing. And I know that that's a lot of time I just took up to talk Bears-Panthers, but it gives people insight into what goes into this stuff for people who are betting NFL sides on a weekly basis there. I really thought Caleb Williams might have got injured when I first saw the 3.5, which obviously isn't the case, Brady.
Well, I tell you what, this time of the year, we're only through 4 weeks. This is a good time to now start to dive into the numbers, because the numbers have some validity at this point in the year. And then you can kind of adjust your power ratings from there. So maybe if you run through the stats a little bit, you'll kind of see where maybe these two teams truly stand.
Yeah. All right. We're going to ask Brady about a few more.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of a week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was Lincoln! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. Brady, I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all season.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from, just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take!
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Simply put, the only way to bet this is over/under win total. I love Tyronn Lue. I think he's one of the 5 best coaches in the league. But my dear friend George Sorless told us to me a long time ago, you can't win if you don't got the talent. Unfortunately, I don't think the Clippers have the talent to match up.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Brian Dable has been feeling it. He's in a foul mood. He's having stare downs with Pat Leonard and everything else.
John Mara wants Brian Dable to go and get the next quarterback. They tried to get the next quarterback. We all watched it on Hard Knocks. They couldn't end up with Daniels. They couldn't end up with May. So they said, okay, we'll run it back a year. We'll go get Neighbors, and we'll tolerate
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
With you here on Game Time Decisions, and some decisions I know for a lot of you out there will be made on Tuesday, maybe even yesterday for your Week 5 lines, and that's why we have Brady here to get a read on some of these early numbers here. So, Brady, let me throw it to you. Again, I shoot up a lot of time on Bears-Panthers. What are some games that have really caught your eye for Week 5?
Well, I go back to that situation. I put that on my little piece of scratch paper here. First thing, 1 and 3 teams off of a loss, playing a team that is off of a win. Very good situation in Week 4. And you've got 3 situations. The Panthers, we already talked about, catching 4 points against the Bears. The Browns getting 3.5 against the Commanders. Now, this one went against my number. I made the Commanders a 5-point favorite, and I said, whoa, maybe I'm drinking a little too much Jaden Daniels Kool-Aid here because the odds makers were a lot lower on that one than I expected. And I understand it. I think Cleveland is better than what we've seen the last couple of weeks. They're really banged up. If they get healthier this week, that's going to make a big difference. They're really injured across that offensive line, and that is typically one of this team's biggest strengths. And then the other situation that I already bet as well was the Arizona Cardinals getting 7.5 on the road at San Francisco. I made that number 5, Kevin. So 1.5 difference there for me. I thought 7.5 was a really good number in a division game. I think the Cardinals are a lot better than we saw last week. And San Francisco, by the way, has a Thursday division game, 2 straight division games in a row. Next week, they will take on Seattle in Thursday night football. And that game before a Thursday nighter can be a tough spot. So I'm happy to have 7.5 with the Cardinals in that one.
Do you think that that's a case of you being higher on Arizona than the market or lower on San Fran?
I think I'm typically harder on the 49ers than the market is. Last week, I was way off on their line. I made the Niners a 7-point favorite when they opened up, 10 or 10.5. I was really off. I think I'm more accurate on this one. 7.5, it just seems like a lot in a division game. Again, with that Thursday night contest on deck, I understand San Francisco's getting healthier, but I don't believe that was a great representation. I was very surprised by Arizona not basically just trading scores with Washington last week. I thought that game could very easily become a shootout because they're very similar. They have similar quarterbacks, the mobility, the arm strength, the accuracy, the running game, and not a whole lot of defense. And obviously Washington did their part, but I was really surprised to see Arizona just lay an egg offensively.
One number that I'm going to be really interested to see how it moves, Brady, is the Seahawks-Giants number. If Malik Neighbors misses that game with the concussion, I think that should move the line more than if they went from Daniel Jones to Drew Lock. I think Neighbors is more valuable. I know it's quarterback versus wide receiver. I think Neighbors is more valuable to that team than Daniel Jones is.
Yeah, I think you make a good point, but I don't know if he's more valuable to the point spread. Okay, and there's a difference there. I don't think there's any doubt about it. Malik Neighbors is probably the best football player on that team. But he's not holding the reins of the horse. He's not driving the car. The quarterback's driving the car. So he's probably worth more to the point spread. And what is Daniel Jones versus Drew Lock? I'm not sure. Is it 2 points, 3 points, 4 points? An odds maker could certainly tell you that better than I could. But I don't disagree with you about Neighbors, but it's probably not going to change the point spread as much, if you know what I mean.
So here's what I will say, and I think everything that Brady said is absolutely true. But what allows me, and maybe I'm stubborn, is I still believe that Neighbors is more valuable to the point spread, and that is what will get me to bet Seattle if this thing is under a touchdown and Neighbors doesn't play.
What did you make that game, by the way?
So, again, it was kind of one of those things where I'm, moving it across how they laid the Giants number out against Dallas, 4.5 at home. You kind of move it through home field advantage. This is how I do it, Brady, the spread math and stuff like that, which means Dallas would have been at laying with everyone healthy, 7.5, 8 points to that team last week. I think Dallas grades out a little bit better than Seattle, but then if all of a sudden Neighbors is out, to me, I think Seattle should be a touchdown plus if Neighbors misses the game. And I'm
wasn't
not
even
sure they'll move it.
I wasn't even considering Neighbors, Jones, Locke, whatever. I just made the number based on, everything being as is and healthy and what have you. I made Seattle 8.
Yeah.
And it opened up 6. So that's another one I'm looking at.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. Again, and look, I know he's a rookie. Over 33% of Daniel Jones's targets are going to Malik Neighbors so far this season. All but
That's
one of his
also a
passing
problem.
touchdowns.
Kind of tells you a lot about that team, too.
Yes, it certainly does, Brady. I fully agree. Appreciate it as always. We've got the Consig Dave Sharapan on deck.
It's a new era in CFP to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of a week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. Brady, I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all season long.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take!
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Simply put, the only way to bet this is over under win total. I love Tyronn Lue. I think he's one of the 5 best coaches in the league. But my dear friend George Sorless told us to me a long time ago, you can't win if you don't got the talent. Unfortunately, I don't think the Clippers have the talent to match up.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Brian Dable has been feeling it. He's in a foul mood. He's having stare downs with Pat Leonard and everything else.
John Mara wants Brian Dable to go and get the next quarterback. They tried to get the next quarterback. We all watched it on Hard Knocks. They couldn't end up with Daniels. They couldn't end up with May. So they said, okay, we'll run it back a year. We'll go get Neighbors, and we'll tolerate.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, we're back with you right here on SportsGrid. I just tossed a little mini sizzle in for the WNBA game that is upcoming with the Aces and the Liberty because there are some odds boosts out there for the folks who would like it. Simple 24 Aja Wilson and then 10 points for Jonquel Jones and Jackie Young is what I'm going with there. That started at plus 110, took it up a little bit, plus 138. I like where all of those players are lined up for that game tonight for what should really be a good one in New York. Obviously, massive implications there. Aces try and grab a road victory to even that up before it goes back to the desert. Updates on your live baseball board right now. 8-4, the Mets are still up on the Milwaukee Brewers, which we know is going to lead to some shifts in your outright markets. The NL markets have seen the Brewers plummet to 21-1 right now. Mets holding at plus 750. We think about the damage that has been done today in the American League. And the Yankees and Guardians untouched, of course. They've not played. Well, the Yankees actually have dropped a tick, and that's due to the two pre-game favorites losing both of those games. The Astros down to plus 750. The Baltimore Orioles are down to plus 850. The Royals right now have jumped up 7-1, and the Detroit Tigers are now at plus 650. To help us break it all down, that is the consig. That is Dave Sharapan. Dave, the baseball playoffs are underway.
I know you're excited. I'm excited. This is so much fun. This week is a blast. We get day baseball all day today, all day tomorrow. I mean, it's breakfast time baseball in Vegas. It's fun, man. There's a lot going on. K-Dub. Dogs. I mean, I had to get the Braves stuff out for today. Nobody thinks the Braves might as well not even have gone to San Diego.
I'll just tell you this. Here we go again. Baseball playoffs. This is usually the time of year me and you go back and forth on this. Mm-hmm. Dave, we're going to go 4-0 dogs? 4-0 dogs? 4-0. I mean, Dave. What? No. It's not about that. It's about all of a sudden, for some reason, the baseball playoffs start, and apparently if you were worse than your opponent all season long, that's a good thing. Apparently the best thing you can be is not as good as the team you're playing. I don't understand, Dave.
Welcome to the randomness of baseball. This exists 162 games a year.
Why do we play 162 if this is what's going to happen? I mean, let's go single elimination. Let's copy March Madness. What are we doing? What's the point?
Listen, you might be onto something with this. It doesn't seem fair to play 162, then have to play 2 extra games the day before your playoff life exists, or ceases to exist. I mean, them throwing them 2 in a doubleheader on Monday. I mean, I don't know. We were talking about Monday Night Football and 2 horrific games. Well, I mean, the one game was okay. But, they threw them in there, and that was one of the easiest bets ever. As soon as the Mets won, you bet the Braves in the second game, even without Sale. Now, apparently, Sale's not going to even pitch this wild card series. I don't want to think it's all 4 dogs today, K-Dub. I don't think so. I'm trying my best to represent for the books and put the Brave stuff on, but trying to keep a straight face. Come on.
Look, if it's 4 dogs, right, all good. I am now going to say this for the 3rd time on today's show.
Okay.
The NLCS is missing both the Dodgers and the Phillies.
Oh,
like last year, we did not see the Dodgers and the Braves, both of them. They have to change the format. There's no longer a debate because it'll be the 2nd year in a row that the 2 teams that spent the entire year as the best team in the league end up not in the Champion Series. The evidence will be too strong. The evidence will be too strong that the buys are a detriment. Can't have it. You can't keep doing this.
Well, the Dodgers needed to buy more than any team. Whether they needed a rest or not is not even a debate. They don't have pitching. They have to be off. Their offense will be their offense regardless whether they sit for a week or not. They have to. I mean, they get 5 days off. They played Sunday. They're going to play Saturday night. Shohei needs to play a series right after. Shorten it to 154 and play 5-game series to start. Play 154 for the regular season. Play a 5-game series. These 3-game series are life and death.
What's going to happen? Listen, here's what'll happen. And this is going to happen probably regardless anyway. They're going to add 2 more teams.
No.
In both leagues. Yes.
To the playoffs?
And everybody's going to play in the wild card round. That's what's going to happen. Dave, 16 out of 30 making it is the exact same as the NBA. NFL sends 14 out of 32. This NHL sent what? NHL sends 16 out of 30?
Correct.
So what are we doing? Baseball's just going to play catch-up. That's all. Who's going to say no? Who's going to say no? Yanks get home revenue now for the postseason they didn't know they were going to get. Twins end up in the playoffs. Diamondbacks, oh my gosh, look at this. Wow. No one's going to say no. It's coming anyway.
Who's going to say no? I don't know. That's a good question. I really don't know. Maybe Sam. Sam will say no because the Nationals still won't get in.
I like that. Won't. Wow, all year it took all. Wow, that is a season-long setup of favorable Nationals comments. No, listen, I've always said Dave Sharapan needs more segments and more airtime talking Washington Nationals. That is a beautiful breakdown there, and I absolutely love it, Dave. That really, That was wonderful. I'm super pumped up about that. People think it's a bit, but I'm not. I'm almost losing my train of thought about how happy I am that the Nats caught one on air. That if it was me, it wouldn't have stung as hard. You know what I mean?
Right.
That was a
I mean,
sneak
we're
attack.
always paying attention. There's people driving every
That's
day that text me and said, "Are you going to be on with K-Dub on Tuesday?" Yes.
That's right.
Can you please mention that the Nationals didn't make the playoffs? Yes. That's a 2-team parlay. I mean, we just hit it out of the park. Who will say no to more teams in the baseball playoffs? The TV people won't. The league won't. The teams won't. The weather people might, because they're going to be playing in the snow if they add more games, and they have to play into November in some cities. But other than that, I don't know. I don't think anybody will. I mean, the bookies won't. The sports books won't. The bettors won't. We'll get more meaningful, high-leverage baseball, which is what everybody wants. You know, give me more stuff in October. Can we get more stuff in October? Because we got the W. We got playoffs in the W. We got college football heating up, coming off one of the best games I've seen in the last decade, Alabama, Georgia, right? You got NFL. Well, I can't explain the NFL. I mean, really, there's no explanation. There's more backup quarterbacks playing. Yes, no. We got hockey getting ready to start. I know you're a hockey guy. You're excited about that. And NBA on the cusp of starting. Media day. I don't know. Pile some more on. We could use some more stuff in October.
Yeah, bring it all in. Let me ask you quickly, Dave, just because people are going to be there's some big picture stuff I want to get with you, some futures that I was able to jump in on, college and pro, different things. You mentioned the books tonight likely need Atlanta. What type of action are we looking at? The W tonight, 2 games. Any thoughts on those quickly?
We had JY on BVB, and he came on and made a very good case for the Liberty. And people out here in Vegas are not used to losing when it comes to these aces. And that, they got punched in the mouth in game 1 a little bit.
Yep.
And as far as handle, it's going to flow a little bit into the night, as this game's getting ready to tip and everything else. It's going to be a blip as far as the big scheme of things. October, we had President's Cup last weekend. The easiest minus 250 bet in the history of the last decade. Tonight, I think the Liberty win.
All right. Consig's rolling with the Liberty. Let's see if he's rolling with some tickets that I've placed here. We'll find out with you on SportsGrid.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. Brady, I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all season long.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take!
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Simply put, the only way to bet this is over under win total. I love Tyronn Lue. I think he's one of the 5 best coaches in the league. But my dear friend George Sorlis told us to me a long time ago, you can't win if you don't got the talent. Unfortunately, I don't think the Clippers have the talent to match up.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Brian Dable has been feeling it. He's in a foul mood. He's having stare downs with Pat Leonard and everything else.
John Mara wants Brian Dable to go and get the next quarterback. They tried to get the next quarterback. We all watched it on Hard Knocks. They couldn't end up with Daniels. They couldn't end up with May. So they said, okay, we'll run it back a year. We'll go get neighbors, and we'll tolerate.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Back here on SportsGrid, we're following the live action. The Aces up early on the Liberty. We have the Mets up right now on Milwaukee. We also have to take the chance to bring in some big-picture items. And, Dave, you and I have not had a chance to talk too much college football this year. But I'm excited to tell you that I placed a national title future. Now, I want to ask you about a theory. Okay, by the way, new top 25. Was released. Alabama's up to number 1 in the country. Georgia doesn't fall too far, coming off of their incredible game. But, Dave, there's something that I've been doing throughout the college football season that I really like as a strategy, and I think it's something that is very 2024, right? It's not something that 10 years ago people were doing, but I like to use my free bets to get involved. Because when you lay out, right, in a national title market, you have to weigh, all right, I risk this on this group, this on this team, to make sure that you can come out profitable.
Yes.
With these free bets that a lot of these sports books are using, again, you don't want to go crazy. You're not just going to click the top 5 teams, but you'll have an opportunity, I think, to add to your positions a little bit more with those free bet wagers. And that's the way I've played a lot of the national championship market so far in college football.
I like it. Yeah, there was no of this 10 years ago because there was no sports books anywhere except Vegas or the offshore world 10 years ago. So you didn't have this opportunity. I like what you're doing there. That's fine. Use them, spray them all over. Are they going to get in the 12? That's all I need to know. If you're putting somebody out there, they better get to the 12 because that's all we're worried about right now in college football. Just get me to the 12. Texas is going to be there, obviously. But, Georgia and Alabama, I feel like that was round 1 of at least a 2-round fight, maybe 3. So getting Georgia after they lose, probably a good idea. I'm just looking at the list right now thinking,
well, Dave,
you're
let me
already
stop you there.
involved with Miami, and I don't know who this could be. Don't tell me you did Penn State. Do not
No.
say.
Dave, you're on it today. Don't overthink it. Georgia has been clicked.
There you
and here's the thing I'll tell people about whether you should click the plus 550 number or not. I potentially would wait until the Texas game plays out. I went in-game. Dave, they jumped to 9-1 to win the title during that game against Bama. So that's the number that I'm now holding on the Georgia Bulldogs. I feel great about. Look, they don't deserve to be number 1 in an AP poll. And I wouldn't know if I would put them at number 1 in an outright market because they're more vulnerable if something goes wrong than your Ohio States and Texas is. But pure numbers, I still think that Georgia is the best team in college football. So I'm very happy to be holding them at 9-1.
I like the way you're thinking. That's exactly. You should go get that price. That price during the in game was, people were putting them out to pasture like they weren't even going to make the 12 when they were losing, and they were getting smoked. But they walked into a bee's nest. That was the hornet's nest. That was exactly what Alabama had set up, wanted, and it went perfectly at the beginning. But with 2 minutes to go, Georgia came back on the road. So, at a neutral, we talked about it. I talked about it with a couple of my odds maker buddies. Georgia's still favored on a neutral.
They were favored in Bama. Georgia, when they took the lead, went back to the national title favorite? Like, that's how much that thing was bouncing around?
Well, one of the cool things about the legalization of sports books is the willingness of some to leave up the futures during games and adjust it on the fly.
Yep.
And I can tell you they don't have a clue how to price them while they're doing it. It's really hard to do. And the willingness to leave it up and to let some prices float out there, you're at an advantage if you live in a state where that's an option, because you're seeing prices that simply won't exist or shouldn't exist after the game or the next day when somebody has some time to sleep on it or price it out and look at what the matchups are. K-Dub, I like what you're doing. I mean, you're building quite the portfolio for the 12.
It's funny how it works, but I swear, listen, he never knows I'm honest. Preseason, I broke down Bama, Georgia to the degree that you could, right? And said, and I knew I liked Bama in the game, and a preseason plan was to bet Georgia to win the title if they lose to Bama. So that couldn't have worked any better. That was, right. And here's what I'll tell everybody. I think Oregon beats Ohio State. I don't think they're as good as Ohio State in 2 weeks.
Ooh.
And I'm going to be looking to bet Ohio State to win the Big Ten following that loss if they lose that game. That is because I'm not going to go to Ohio State for the title. Basically, if Georgia would have beat Bama, I might have not bet Georgia, and then I maybe would have waited for Ohio State to lose to Oregon and gone that way with a title, right?
Okay.
But I think the Ducks are in a much better spot. Ohio State's playing Iowa. That's more of a rival. We know how those games can be physical. Ducks at home, little extra rest playing on a Friday night. Michigan State, I think they can light that team up. No travel. So I think the Ducks can get that game, but I don't think it means they're better than the Buckeyes. And now, Dave, all of a sudden, a Big Ten number on Ohio State that's plus 100, Oregon's plus 250. You might be able to clip 2-1 plus 250 on the Buckeyes.
See, this is a plan. I like when you come and stuff with a plan. This sounds like a plan. And I think using the free bets on the plan, we're going to call this the K-Dub plan for the 12. I mean, you're going to end up with some really good prices on some teams in some positions that you're going to 100% be able to work off of. That's kind of what you do in the book. I mean, that's just, we're sitting in the risk room. You're kind of just building your positions. And when you get it right, you go all in a little bit. You push, you shove a little more. That's good. How many teams get in from the Big Ten as of today? 3?
More. I'll just say that. Over. We're going to get Dave out of here with an NFL MVP question.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of a week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was Lincoln! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. Brady, I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all season long.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take!
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Simply put, the only way to bet this is over under win total. I love Tyronn Lue. I think he's one of the 5 best coaches in the league. But my dear friend George Sorless told us to me a long time ago, you can't win if you don't got the talent. Unfortunately, I don't think the Clippers have the talent to match up.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Brian Dable has been feeling it. He's in a foul mood. He's having stare downs with Pat Leonard and everything else.
John Mara wants Brian Dable to go and get the next quarterback. They tried to get the next quarterback. We all watched it on Hard Knocks. They couldn't end up with Daniels. They couldn't end up with May. So they said, okay, we'll run it back a year. We'll go get Neighbors, and we'll tolerate.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions. We're closing it out with you on a Tuesday. We've got Dave Sharapan with us before he heads over to In Game Live, where they will be following the final outs of Brewers Mets. Of course, full in-game coverage of Padres Braves, as well as the WNBA playoffs right now with the Las Vegas Aces up early on the New York Liberty, a 27-22 lead at the end of that opening quarter. We've seen that number right now go to pick. Now, Dave, before you get out of here,
sure.
Today we introduce a little new segment. It's right up your alley, little KW's Take 5. All right?
Oh, all right.
Going into the markets, my 5, what I believe are the 5 best bets you can make for NFL MVP. Now, I only placed one bet, but I think if you don't like my top guy, who I bet, I think these are the 5 best bets that you can make. Dave, one of the names, well, the name you will be familiar with because last year you were well aware of the rooting interest that was had. You'll also be pleasantly surprised to see another. Can we show Dave what I believe are the 5 best bets you can make in the NFL MVP market? And then, Dave, I'd love your thoughts and reaction to those 5 guys that we have. And, of course, the odds are always important.
What?
What do we think, Dave?
Is that a Steeler emblem down there?
Yeah, it sure is.
What? Oh, my goodness. Wait, hold on. Is that a Tua?
Oh, it's 200 to 1, Dave. 200 to 1.
Who put him on this list?
I did.
What?
You don't think it's a good number, 200 to 1?
Tua?
I think his value to the Dolphins is quadrupled in his absence.
Well, I mean, I think if you're measuring it in the value, I think he's the most valuable player in the history of the league. They can't going to win another game if he don't come back. There's no chance. They're in big trouble. I'm impressed you put the Fields on there, though. That kind of just warmed my heart a little bit. But I think you got it right at the top. Those 3. I mean, those are 4 and 5 are angle shooters. Those are bombs. Those are you're throwing out there big numbers just to have that big number to brag about, and then you throw that one in the can at the end of the year. That's fine.
Yep.
Okay. But those 3, isn't the MVP coming from one of those 3? I mean, who else is it? Is it Josh Allen? The price isn't good.
I would say if you wanted me to, let's see, how many guys can you really convince me? Allen? No, I think Lamar's out. Goff?
He's out?
Lamar's out. Come on. They're not going to give it to him.
Already?
They're not going to give him a third. That'd be crazy.
What if they go on and win 10 more games?
Get
the 1 seed again.
So that's why I don't think Mahomes has played well. The reason Mahomes to me is the second best bet you can make. The win total's 13.5. I mean, I think it's 3 wins higher than the next closest team in the market right now. Maybe 2 more than Detroit. The expectations for the Chiefs, they go 14-3, 15-2. Mahomes is going to get all the credit. And it doesn't matter if he should or shouldn't. Because I'll tell you, I don't really think he should. Like Andy Reid's 35 to 1 to win Coach of the Year. We should be hitting that number. I'm not wasting my time. I've not seen voters go that angle with it.
They're not going to give it to him. You're right. I think so it's as much to get in the number 1. It's number 2. It's the narrative. But 3, the most important thing is they're not going to vote for him. They're just not.
Yeah.
So at some point, that maybe has to go 1 or 2 rather than 3 if you're going to bring that discussion up. I love this. Are you going to update this every week, this 5?
We're going to do different things. The plan is every week. Won't always be MVP. Because Dave, I bet Brock Purdy at 18 to 1. I think it's a good number. If he wins his next 3 games, here's what I'm telling people. And I, of course, fully believe this. If Brock Purdy wins his next 3 games, I believe he will be the MVP favorite at the end of the 3rd game. The third game is against the Kansas City Chiefs at home off a mini-bye. I believe he goes to the league's MVP favorite if he wins that game. The roadblock's gone. McCaffrey's gone. So now he gets all the credit.
That's it. He gets all the credit on a team.
There we go.
To win this thing, it's really hard to win a split vote. So, well done. I love it. Braves got a shot tonight, K-Dub? I'm getting out of here. You
yeah, I think so. But I'm also rooting it, so maybe don't go wild. Listen, I'll throw you guys a sizzle as you get out of here. Aja Wilson, 10 points in the second quarter, plus 600. It's worth a shot. She's only scored 2 points. They're going to feed her the basketball in quarter number 2. They're up 5. Everybody else has been helping. She's going to have to carry them into the second half here. Plus 600. Keep your eyes on it. I'll see you Thursday.